Here's something that will make you think twice about your next meal. A lion kills a zebra and starts eating immediately. No fire, no cooking, no waiting, raw muscle, raw organs, raw everything, straight from the carcass. A wolf does the same. A crocodile does the same. Virtually every carnivore on this planet consumes raw meat as a matter of biological routine without getting sick, without dying, without any apparent consequence at all. You cannot do this, or at least that is what everyone tells you. Eat raw chicken and you will be hospitalized. Eat raw pork and you risk parasites. Eat raw beef and you're gambling with your digestive system. But here's the question nobody asks. Ancient humans had no fire for most of their existence. For hundreds of thousands of years before anyone figured out how to cook anything, our ancestors were eating raw meat. They had to, there was no alternative. So what happened? Did we lose something? Did we break something? Or is the real answer more complicated and more interesting than the simple warning label we have been handed our entire lives? Start with the biology, because the first thing worth understanding is that the danger of raw meat is not imaginary. It is real, but it is also specific. Raw meat carries bacteria, Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, Listeria. These pathogens live on and in animal flesh and cause serious illness in humans. Raw pork can carry trichinella, a parasitic worm that embeds itself in muscle tissue. Raw chicken is so reliably contaminated with Campylobacter that food safety guidelines in most countries treat it as a guaranteed hazard rather than a possibility. Heat kills these pathogens. Cooking meat to the right internal temperature eliminates bacteria, destroys parasites, and renders the flesh safe by eliminating the biological threat almost entirely. This is why cooking exists as a food safety practice, not just as a flavor preference. But here is where it gets interesting. The danger levels vary enormously depending on the animal, the cut, and how the meat was handled. A whole beef steak, for example, carries its bacterial contamination almost entirely on the outer surface. The interior muscle of an intact cut of beef from a healthy animal is largely sterile. This is why steak tartare, raw minced beef, has been eaten safely across French culinary tradition for generations. This is why beef carpaccio exists on restaurant menus worldwide without producing mass hospitalizations. The danger is real, but it is not uniform, and ancient humans knew their food sources in ways modern consumers completely do not. Now here's the part that reframes everything. Ancient humans did not have weaker stomachs than we do. They were not somehow biologically different from us in ways that made raw meat safe for them and dangerous for us. The idea that our ancestors had iron constitutions that modern humans have lost through cooking is largely a myth. What ancient humans had was different meat. The animals our ancestors hunted were wild. They lived in natural environments, ate natural diets, moved constantly across large territories. Their bodies were lean, their immune systems were robust, and critically, they were not packed together in the concentrated conditions that make modern factory-farmed animals such reliable disease vectors. Modern chicken is arguably the most dangerous raw meat on the planet, specifically because of how it is raised. Tens of thousands of birds in confined spaces creates ideal conditions for bacterial transmission and amplification. Salmonella and Campylobacter spread rapidly through flocks living in close contact. The contamination levels in modern commercially raised chicken have no real equivalent in the wild birds our ancestors occasionally ate. Modern pork carries trichinella, risk largely because pigs in commercial farming operations have historically been fed garbage, scraps, and other pigs, creating transmission chains for parasites that would not exist in wild boar populations moving through clean natural environments. The meat got more dangerous, not the humans eating it. But there's a second part of this story that goes deeper than food safety. And it is genuinely fascinating. Cooking did not just make meat safer, it fundamentally changed what meat does to the human body when consumed, and that change may have shaped human evolution itself. Richard Wrangham, a Harvard primatologist, has spent decades developing what he calls the cooking hypothesis. His argument is that cooking was not just a convenient food preparation technique that humans adopted for safety. It was a transformative biological event that rewired human physiology over hundreds of thousands of years. Raw meat requires significant digestive effort. The proteins are tightly folded, the connective tissue is dense, and the body has to work hard to extract available calories. Cooking denatures proteins, breaking them down into forms the digestive system can process dramatically more efficiently. Cooked meat delivers significantly more usable calories per gram than the same meat eaten raw. Wrangham argues that when human ancestors began cooking regularly, their digestive systems began adapting to this new reality. The gut shortened because it no longer needed the extended processing length required for raw food digestion. The The jaw reduced in size because cooked food required less mechanical force to consume. The brain grew because more calories were now available from the same quantity of food. In other words, cooking did not just make us safer. It made us human. The brain you're using right now to read this may be a direct consequence of a fire lit by an ancestor who discovered that cooked meat delivered more energy than raw meat and never looked back. So, can modern humans eat raw meat at all? The honest answer is yes, with significant qualification. Humans eat raw meat regularly in dozens of culinary traditions worldwide. Steak tartare, beef carpaccio, kibbeh neyeh in Lebanese cuisine, raw minced lamb. Yukho in Korean cuisine, raw seasoned beef, tiger meat in parts of the American Midwest, raw ground beef served on crackers. Ceviche uses acid rather than heat to denature proteins in raw fish, producing a cooked texture without actual cooking. These traditions exist and persist because whole cuts of quality beef from healthy animals, handled properly and consumed fresh, carry manageable risk for most healthy adults. The danger is real but not absolute. The animals you cannot safely eat raw are the ones whose modern farming conditions have made them dangerous. Chicken and pork primarily, not because of something fundamental about those animals, but because of what industrial agriculture has done to the disease environment surrounding them. Here's what the entire story tells you. We cannot eat raw meat the way ancient humans did not because we have become weaker or our biology has fundamentally changed. We cannot do it safely with modern, commercially farmed animals because those animals exist in conditions that have no equivalent in the wild environments our ancestors hunted through. The danger is modern, the animals are modern, the farming conditions are modern. Ancient humans were not tougher than us, they were just eating different animals in a different world. And somewhere along the way, we built a food system so disconnected from that original world that we forgot the distinction between the meat itself and what we have done to the animals that produce it.